Hi, Alan Cox here. It doesn't take long before conversations in Microsoft Teams, particularly channel conversations, can get really out of hand and can really just become complex, hard to follow, and just really messy overall. I'm not a fan of group chats. I think there's a place for them for short-lived conversations, but most of the time, those type of conversations really are better suited in channel conversations. But those channels can get pretty messy over time. Well, a little while back, Microsoft introduced a concept, really kind of a way of thinking, a way of looking at those conversations called thread mode in those conversations. We're going to take a look at that today, kind of what the difference between thread mode and post mode looks like, and also how to turn that on. And then we'll talk a little bit about following favorite threads. And so that's going to be our topic for conversation today. So let's get started. All right, here we are out here on adoption.microsoft.com, Microsoft Teams, and it talks here about the thread mode, threads in Microsoft Teams and channels, and a little bit about that. So always a good idea to go out to this, to adoption.microsoft.com. Lots and lots of good information out there. Collateral, some artifacts, documentation, PowerPoint. It's just a lot of really good information. So this is a good site to just kind of go out and learn a little bit about thread mode. But let's take a look and see what this looks like in our Teams channel environment. So here I have a Teams channel, marketing and a social media. And currently this is in post mode. Now I did a little power automation to just throw in a bunch of messages here in workflow or in this workflows, but it's in post mode, and that is a default setting in post mode. Now up here you may notice this follow threads option up here. We're going to talk a little bit about that. That kind of just showed up kind of overnight along the time of this. Now, currently we are in, again, we're in post mode. So basically, if I go in here and I reply to this message, we end up getting just all of these threads and continue to thread. Now, this isn't quite as messy as sometimes they can be, but this is in a post mode environment. One of the ways that we can take this and convert and change our thread or our channels rather from post over to a thread mode is just go here under the in this case the social media. We're going to manage this channel. When we go to manage this channel, we'll see that the channel details up here is in post mode. So if I were to click edit here, I can change this into a thread mode, and it kind of gives you a little visual description of what this looks like. Basically, you're really condensing everything down. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of thread mode in Outlook, and maybe I should revisit that, but I am definitely a fan of thread mode here in Microsoft Teams because it really kind of consolidates the conversation down and just really makes it easier to get to information and find information. We're going to look at that here in just a second. Of course, we can go in and we can do the name change and all of that stuff. But I'm going to change this over here to thread mode. And when we do this, we'll see kind of what happens here with our environment. So I'm going to in our channel here. So I'm going to save this. Once that finishes saving, we'll go into our channel. Oh, okay, cool. Let's try this again. All right, there we go. Not sure what that was about, but there we go. Thread mode. And now I'm just going to click back into this channel. And now we're going to see things that are just really condensed. And notice we have a reply here. We're going to look at that here in just a second. But now everything just really, really condensed. But as somebody replies to a message, it's going to show down here in this thread mode down here. So if I were to go in and reply in thread, we're going to notice it's going to pop out over here. This conversation is going to pop out over here because I'm only focusing on that particular comment in this overall thread. And so so I can reply to here. By the way, here is the other reply that's in here, right? So there's a reply, and I can continue this reply on this thread. I can also reply to the thread, and I can also reply to the channel. So I can post this kind of as a new message within this channel if I want. But we're going to focus in thread here. I don't know. I'm not even really following the thread, but we'll just say discuss in our next meeting, and I'm just going to enter that, and now we're going to see we have 2 replies. And of course I can continue this conversation on this, but I'm just going to throw and close that out. Now I do have probably some more chats coming in because I am doing there's some automation happening in the background, but we see that we have those threads there, and we're going to let this continue to go in here. Some more conversations coming up, but that is just a way we can go in. We can hit this thread, and I can say let's reply to that thread in just that comment in the thread, or just that post that's part of that thread, and I can just reply to just that message over here. And then of course we get indication that there is a reply to just that particular thread. Really condenses things down for us. So just send some messages here, and we see this reply here, and of course we can go in and look at this reply. Okay, so very, very helpful in my opinion. Definitely makes things a lot cleaner, especially if you've got a lot of conversations that are going back and forth. Now we have the idea of followed threads. Now we see this, you notice this unfollow. So if I don't want to follow this particular thread, but anytime you're following a thread and something comes along where someone has posted to that thread that you're following, and I think I'm probably yeah, because I've messaged this thread, I'm following the thread. But if I were to go in here, I could follow this thread. I can follow that particular thread. So now if I look at followed threads, we can see threads that I am following. Okay, so I can see all of that. And so of course then anytime somebody posts in a message that for a thread that I'm following, let's just take this last one down here. Let's just go down, and I'm going to say follow thread. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to go down. Now, well, if we go here, we should see I am following the thread. Now, there's no conversations in there, so follow threads. Anytime there's a conversation, I'm going to see that. So let's go to the last one here that we are following here, and I'm just, again, throwing conversations in there, right? So there we go. So now following this thread, I get the option to unfollow. And now if I go to follow thread, I will see that we have messages. So it's really helpful if I want to see threads that I'm following that I'm interested in. I can go right in here and check and see any conversations that's going on. And this will light up. This will turn, this will bolden out once you have threads that are followed and there's conversations happening in that thread. So anyway, that is a bit about threads and how I think they can be really, really helpful, because now we can just kind of sidebar these conversations. When we click on this, we can have this kind of side conversation on this one thread, and it just condenses everything and makes it a whole lot cleaner and a whole lot easier to work with. So sure, more will be coming out around this as as it goes on. But anyway, that's threads in Microsoft Teams. Well, I hope this has been really helpful, and thank you for watching.